Wow, look at how the tables have turned. When I saw this news being prompted on the notifications of my phone, I made sure to rub my eyes and pinch myself because initially I thought Alibaba was fined. Again, what's new, right? This regulatory tightening coming out from China is really causing some severe impacts to my brain. I suspect that I might even be suffering from PTSD from all these news updates. And whenever I see fines coupled with a company that starts with the letter A, I immediately thought to myself, here we go again. This time around though, it was Amazon that was fined $1.28 billion by Italy's antitrust regulators. I love how at the peak of the regulatory clampdown in China, many people thought that it was a China-specific problem. And many of the other big tech companies will be insulated from these crazy implementations termed by investors all over the world. And their investments in these companies are safe. It seems to me like China is essentially trying to model the way for the rest of the world on how to exactly address this big tech dominance issue surrounding the world. Rather than saying that they're role models, I would quantify it as China and Chinese big tech companies being the lab rats or even guinea pigs for technology-specific regulations. So many of the narrative until today still revolves around how China or the Chinese government, by and large, fears the power and influence these big tech companies possess, which translated to the entire genesis of this crackdown. So it seems like the European Union is also afraid of big tech companies today. How scary. Anyway, for those of you who didn't get what I was insinuating, no, I don't think the government are afraid of big tech companies. Not China, not EU, not even the United States. In order for the business environment to continue functioning, at least in an efficient manner, rules and regulations have to be put in place to ensure fair competition. It is evident that many of these huge conglomerates have been exploiting their position and relationships to get away with many of these so-called grey areas inherent in the entire business environment and the business system. I also understand that no system is perfect in this world, but do we stop chasing the goal of trying to establish a productive and conducive business environment? You know what else I understand? I understand that you will gain 20 social credit if you were to smash the like button. So what are you waiting for? Also, Momo is running a Christmas activity until the 31st of December 2021. So where you get a free Apple share and $40 of cash coupon when you make your first deposit amounting to around 2,700 Sing dollars or equivalent. So you can also stand a chance to win an iPhone 13, an AirPods 3 and many more during the limited time rewards promotion. So you can use my referral link down below in the description and you will also get 180 days of unlimited commission-free trades and real-time market data. So for my non-Singapore based viewers, you can use the other link to get free shares as well. So I know many shareholders will be borderline triggered because this will affect your underlying investments in these companies. But if you were to really adopt a longer time horizon, if you have been so confident in your due diligence and made the judgment that your investment in the particular big tech company is because that they are superior to the competition, what are you afraid of? As an investor, do you not prefer more sustainable economic mode rather than a mode that is derived from pure bullying and forcing the hands of their competitors and restricting competition? And that's exactly what all these different regulators are trying to discover and uncover. Anyway, Amazon was fined around 1.13 billion euros, which is equivalent to around 1.28 billion US dollars by the Italian antitrust regulators for alleged market dominance. So the AGCM said that Amazon had harmed competing operators in the e-commerce logistics services. They concluded that Amazon leveraged their dominant position to encourage sellers on Amazon.it to use its own logistics services. This was done to the detriment of the logistics services offered by competing operators, as well as to strengthen its own dominant position. Of course, this ain't China. The companies won't just yes sir, 3 bags full. Amazon said that it strongly disagrees with the fine and it plans to appeal to this verdict. The Amazon spokesperson said that the proposed fines and remedies are unjustified and disproportionate. I mean, what else can they say? I know many of you would also say that you don't understand cheeking. At least outside of China, companies have the ability and opportunity to appeal and make their voices heard, and people respect the rule of law. Thanks for your insightful comments, people. I totally didn't know that. If I really didn't know that after so many years of living on Earth, I think that the Singapore's education system has failed miserably. Let's stay tuned and find out if the appeal actually crystallizes into something less harsh. But 1.28 billion is no small fine anyway. That said, I'm sure that the fine will be swept under the rug in no time. Unlike a certain other company that starts with A as well, where every bloody article for the following 6 months will talk about the relevant fines and how the government is screwed up and how the company has paid its price and how the company has no future. Mark my words on this, by the way. Maybe a few more articles on this Amazon fine to update us on the developments of the appeal, and Amazon will move on with life, unlike Alibaba. Personally, I think that the baseline is simple. If companies are found to breach certain regulations or rules set in place to ensure a fair and more prosperous outcome, then they should and ought to pay the price. Alibaba has been found to be engaging in such undesirable practices, which is contrary to market competition and the respect of market forces. They paid the fine and they move on to strengthen their core. In this instance, Amazon is alleged by Italian regulators on whatever they have been doing, and I'm not going to make the judgment call on whether they should or should not be paying up. But if they actually did conduct some anti-competitive behavior, then I think it's the job of the regulators to call them out for it. What I look forward to though is the media's role in all these different developments all over the world. How are they going to spin the story and the narrative? And how else can they show that China is so bad and so dirty? Anyhow, don't ask me why, but this is probably the underlying human nature or the underlying human condition. Those in power will always do whatever it takes to stay in power, exploit their position, bully their way through, suppress the competition, etc. It works for humans, it also works in the business settings as well. And that's exactly why we need regulators and when the regulators should step in to ensure that the society as a whole benefits from progress and competition, rather than clowns sitting at the top trying to charge more by providing less and by lobbying their way through. And as I always conclude, focusing on providing value to the market should be the priority and not how you intend to win the competition by stifling them, etc. Another discussion that transpired from this news development was that it seems like it's part of a broader trend in Europe where they are trying to regulate some of these big tech companies. So the concern for investors is that this Italian fine could signify a broader trend towards regulating Amazon more heavily in other parts of their businesses as well, and in other parts of the world, and this might just be the start. Sounds really familiar, right? Thankfully, these big tech companies are banned in China, maybe less Apple. If not, during the start of this crackdown, they might even spin it off into this entire narrative of how the Chinese government is launching a coordinated attack to weaken the bases of the American companies and get the citizens all riled up and angry and incite a war just because. At least for now, people around the world will just be laughing at the big tech companies in China. Not going to lie though, I think reporters or analysts should go for spin classes. Maybe they can level up their spinning skills by many notches to provide more solid commentaries. Jokes aside, Amin, who is the global head of retail equity research at Williams O'Neill, said that this case is interesting because the European Commission opened its own proof into the practice but carved Italy out of the scope of this investigation to allow Italy's antitrust watchdog to proceed on in its own merit. And typically, the European Commission has adopted quite a unified approach. So clearly in China, Alibaba has been the face of the concerted effort of these crackdowns, especially on big tech companies, even though they packaged it into a broader effort to rein in the tech sector by and large. While in Latin America, the regulators are targeting Mercado Libre, and here in the EU, they targeted Amazon specifically. Are we all missing out something important? It seems like there has been this disproportionate emphasis on e-commerce related companies around the globe and across the world. Are we supposed to be excited or worried as investors? Because clearly, governments or regulators are particularly interested in this specific area and this specific industry. Maybe I'm thinking too much here. Maybe leave in the comment section down below what do you think about this entire crackdown on e-commerce related companies and about this fine issued to Amazon, and your theory on why regulators or governments around the world are so interested in the e-commerce industry. With that, I'll see you in the next video, but more importantly, I'll see you on the moon. Goodbye!